Kakalosh, Boker Or, Masechet Menahot, Daf Yomi, Daf Kafchet, Amud Aleph 2881. Says the Mishnah. If you remember, we said we were going to start from the Mishnah. So Mishnah is a few lines down, a few good lines down. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, probably 11 lines down. Okay, Matnitin. Says the Mishnah. Shiv'a kene menorah me'akvin zeh. You've got 7, I don't know, you want to call them branches? Branches of the menorah, which are going to be me'akev each other. The same thing happens with the bazichim, which are on the top, which means the nerot. Okay? So the next page, you have a beautiful picture. Right? You've got 2 parashiot on the mezuzah, not 4. In the tefillin, you have 4, and the mezuzah, you only have 2. And even otachat. That's what it means, ktav echad. Ktav echad means even otachat is going to be ma'akev. Remember, even the 4 parashiot of tefillin are going to be ma'akev. And even 1 letter is going to be ma'akev. 4 tzitziot. It's all 1 mitzvah. Interesting why it only says by the tzitzit that it's 1 mitzvah. No? Why Davka does it say by the tzitzit that it's 1 mitzvah? Why not by the tefillin? Why not by the... Interesting. He says, "Bedin zelo yiparesh b'gemara minayin sharbat zimik v'zuzah." Ochen kvar katav Rambam Mishnah kodemet shebechol omnim nuzkor b'Mishnah. It's a kabbalah biyadenu. אלא שסמכו דינים אלו למזים מהפסוקים. Okay, fine. However, the Yalkut Shimoni does say, "Vaya lachem letzid." Vaya means havaya. Remember, anything that was written vayu, vaya, vaya, yeah, it has to be exactly like that. No, but that wasn't my question. My question was, why does it say? Meaning, like, why by everything else it's ma'akev and it doesn't say, but it's all 1 mitzvah. And here it's saying that arba'atan is 1 mitzvah. I don't know. It doesn't really get into it. I don't know. Maybe we'll see in the Gemara. Okay, fine. Then he says, Rabbi Ishmael Omer, Rabbi Ishmael. So we're talking about Rabbi Ishmael yesterday. Right? Rabbi Ishmael Omer, arba'atan, arba mitzvot. He says the 4 of them, that's why. I had to continue.
Okay, can you explain?
I had to continue. Since the other Shita of Rabbi Ishmael says that there's 4 mitzvot, separate mitzvot, that's why the one before just said, no, that it's really be'emet 1 mitzvah. That's why, but really be'emet, you could have done that by all of them, that it's 1 mitzvah. You could have said it by all of them, but by all of them, it's always 1 mitzvah, as we know. Only the last one, do we have a machloket? That's why. But to do that, it's ma'akvot so that we did actually come and we did mention. What? There's the Gemara. Yeah, my tama. What's the reasoning why we say the shiva k'nei menorah is makvim zeh? Havaya k'tibu, but again, it's written havaya, right? Whenever it's written the havaya, it always means that you need all 7. Tan Rabbanan, we learned to the right. Menorah ita ba mina eshet, which is a chaticha shlema. Okay, umina zahav, and from the gold. I don't know how you translate though literally eshet.
From a single block of material.
Okay, so single block, that's what it is. For a single block, and that's to be from gold. Asamina grutaot, if you made it from different chatichot, which are broken, like different pieces, right? Grutaot, it says. So he says psula. Mishan mina metachot, if it's going to be other metals, it's all going to be kosher. So the metal is going to be kosher, as long as it's going to be from 1 block. If it's pieces, so then that's when it's going to be psula. Maishna mina psula mitichtiv miksha v'avaya. Shamina metachot nami zahav v'avaya. Meaning it says, 1 second. Why are you picking and choosing? To do with which type of material you're mekel. But it says havaya, and it says zahav. So it has to be davka zahav. But to do with 1 block or pieces, there you are makpid. What's the difference? If it's written havaya and it's written miksha, so it's written havaya and it's written zahav. Meaning, why are you saying, no. If it's going to be made out of silver, it's still okay. But if it's going to be made out of gold, but broken pieces, it's not okay. Why are you makpid that has to be from 1 block, but you're not makpid on the material? But it said havaya by both. It said havaya by both, and it says miksha, and it says also zahav. So answers the Gemara. Amarka, the pasuk says te'aseh menorah. When it says te'aseh, it's mashma lerabot shamine metachot. So even though it's true that it does say havaya and it does say zahav, and it says havaya and it says miksha, but the fact that there's an extra word that says te'aseh menorah, it's mashma you can make it out of anything. So says the Gemara, ve'ema lerabot grutaot. So maybe it's coming to include grutaot. So says solot sakadaitach ta miksha ktiv havaya, but on the miksha it's written havaya. So he says 1 second, but the te'aseh is also written on the miksha. So he says miksha leakev. The miksha is written twice to be meakev. Zahav nami leakev, and the zahav is also going to be meakev. Hi mai. So says the Gemara, right? If you're going to tell me now mina gruto psula, misha mina matachot kshera, haydu zahav zahav, miksha miksha. So then that's going to be the zahav zahav, and miksha miksha. So he says lidrasha, but really bemet it's for a drasha. But if you're going to tell me now mina grutaot kshera, misha mina matachot psula, zahav zahav, miksha miksha, my darsha. But what are you going to do then? So he says, my darsha, he says, the Tanya we learned on the Braita, kikar zahav yaseh ota, tahor yaseh ota, kol hakalim haele. Ba zahav ba kikar, ena ba zahav, ena ba kikar. If it comes to zahav, it's going to come to the kikar. If it's not going to come to zahav, it's not going to come to the kikar. So he says, givya kaftorei frachia ba zahav, right? Ba gvim kaftorim frachim. Ena ba zahav, ena ba gvim frachim. What does that mean? He comes and he says this. He says, if it's going to be from zahav, right? So that's what he says here. If it's going to be Giviyak Kaftoreum Frachea, it's going to come from Zahav. But if it's not going to be right from the Zahav, so then you don't need to make the Giviim Kaftorim Frachim. Remember that in the I don't know how you actually call them. There's in the menorah you had like flowers, you had like kaftorim which were like buttons, right? You had Giviim, right? Kaftoreum Frachea, and like flowers. So look in the picture. I think you had it there. I think you could tell from the picture. There is a picture. There's no picture? I've got a picture on the Mishnah. You have it there. You've got the kaftorim is the hay, which looks like a button. What do you mean button? It's a circle. The kitsur, it's a circle. No, you guys don't have a picture?
Yeah.
You have a
First
picture.
page. The Mishnah.
The Mishnah, that's what I said on the Mishnah. So look at the five. What does it say? Kaftorim. What does it say there? Everyone sees the kaftorim?
Yeah.
The buttons? No, so the flowers is number 6.
Knobs.
Knobs, that's what they call it? Knob buttons?
E is 5, right?
Yeah.
And it says knobs.
Knobs. Okay, so the kaftorim is knobs in English. Okay. Then you have the flowers is vav. So that's F.
Yeah.
And then you have the giviim, which is the kaftor vaferach, is the zayin.
G.
G.
Yeah.
Now the shlosha giviim is D.
Redecorative goblet.
So you see them? You see the goblets?
Yeah.
So the goblets looks like an ice cream cone. Okay, the flower is mamash like a flower, right? And then you have the knobs, or how do you? Yeah, the knobs, the buttons, whatever the knobs, the kaftonim, right? Which is basically the circles. Okay, everybody clear? Everyone sees it, the pictures? Okay, very good. So says the Gemara, ve'imanami, I'm also going to say ba mizahav, ba kanim, ena ba zahav. So 1 second. So why don't I say the same thing about the kanim? If it comes from gold, then you have to have these kanim. These the kanim was the how do you call kanim in English? The branches. Yeah. So only if it comes from gold, it comes from branches. No, it doesn't come from gold. It doesn't come from branches. So he says, no, that's called a pamot, meaning that if you don't have branches, so then that's not a menorah. That's like a lamp, right? It's a pamot. So he says, "V'zeh ma'aseh menorah miksha zahav, ba zahav ba miksha, ena ba zahav, ena ba miksha." So if it comes from gold, it has to be miksha achat. If it doesn't come from gold, it doesn't have to be miksha achat. So he says, "So miksha de seifa lamayata." Why do I need the miksha the seifa? So he says, "Lemiute," it comes to exclude the chatzotzrot. The Tanya was willing to write the chatzotzrot ayu ba'im min ha'eshet min ha'kesef, ezam min ha'grotot. So he says, so then kshanim, misha minei matachot, it's going to be psulim. Umay shna. So what's the difference between misha minei matachot that it's going to be psulim? So he says, dichtiv kesef ve'avaya. It says kesef and avaya. Mingruta nami, it's written miksha ve'avaya. So he says, miet rachmana gabe menuna mikshahi. Right? So it has to be dafka mikshahi velo achotzotzrot. So it's only going to be kosher if it's going to be miksha, but not from the chotzotzrot. Okay? That means basically it's not going to be ma'akev the kashrut of it. Okay? Even though the chatzotzrot are not going to become out of the silver or whatever it is, it's still going to be okay. Okay? So sorry. So we just said the what? That means basically. Right. Even though it's not written. Okay, fine. If it wasn't in one miksha. Okay. So if you want, you have the sikum there on the bottom. You have the sikum summary, the footnote. The footnote. There should be a summary at the end of the page. Summary on the footnote. Footnote. It has to be on the bottom. Right? So he says sikum. The parashat is called Maaseh Menorah, right? It's brought down Zahav 5 times. So when it says Vasita Menorah Zahav Tahor, we're going to learn a Klal Ufrat Uchlal, Kula Tahor, right? We're going to learn that only the menorah has to be made out of Zahav, right? And then for if it's made out of zahav, you need to have the gevim, kaftorim, frachim, which are the knobs, flowers, and the all these things. Umalkacheh umachtotea zahav taor. We're going to learn here that also the kriya menorah has to be made out of gold. And when it says kikar zahav tahor, it's telling you that only the menorah which is made out of zahav has to be dafkav a kikar. And the fifth one, when it says v'zeh maaseh menorah miksha zahav, it's teaching you that only the menorah which is made out of zahav has to be made out of miksha achat. Until here, we're clear. Fine. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita. Kol kelim, all the utensils. Okay? Kafchet amubet. She'asa Moshe, that Moshe Rabbeinu made, ksherim lo uksherim ledorot. They're always going to be kosher for him and for all generations. But the chatzotzrot are going to be ksherot for him. But it's going to be pasul for all generations. So says the Gemara, chatzotzrot my time. What's the reasoning? Meaning, I understand if Moshe Rabbeinu made it, it should always be good for generations as well. Meaning that all generations. Why all of a sudden now the chatzotzrot you can't make it? So he comes and he says, right? He comes and he says the reason why chatzotzoro maitama. If you're going to tell me that because the pasuk says aselecha, so therefore by the chatzotzorot it says you have to make for yourself. So it's mashma, it's only good for you, but not for anybody else. Lecha v'lo ledorot, it's only for you, not for another generation. So we have a question. Ve'asita lecha aron etz, you're going to make aron etz hachanami, right? Dilecha v'lo ledorot. Right, so therefore, what? Also, the aron is only going to be good for you and not for generations. But it says "Vasita lecha," it's for you. The same thing. Ela, but rather, ilamandamar, if it's mishelcha, that is coming from your money, so ilamandamar kaviyachol, or it's coming that kiilu, that is coming from the tzibur, b'shelcha nirotzei to mishalayim. So hainamim ba'eleachi. So therefore, we also should have said that the word lecha is coming that it's either or, meaning that either that it's more precious if it comes to you, or you have to pay for it, but not that be'emet it's not going to be good for future generations. So he says, no. Shana hatam, it's different over there by the chatzatzorot. Damarka, the pasuk says lecha 2 times. Trezimne. Aseh lecha, make for yourself, and vayu lecha. So since it says twice lecha, so therefore it's only going to be good for you, but not for future generations. Because it says it twice. So Tani Rav Papa Rav Nachman Kamed Rav Yosef Haminraita Ba Mina Eshet. We just said that we used to come from one piece and from the gold. Asakli Chesef. If you did it out of silver, it's going to be kosher. If you did it out of whether it's going to be ba'atz is bedil. How do you say bedil? Tin. Okay, so tin. V'shel avar or plum, right? Which is the, how do you call the plomo? The lead, right? The lead. Or shel gisteron. This is just like a mixture of, what is it called? Metallic alloy, right? Because basically it's a whole bunch of metals together, so that's why it's called metallic alloy. Rav posel, Rabbi posel, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda machshir shel etz v'shel etzem v'shel zechuchi. But if it's made out of wood, bone, or glass, according to everybody, it's going to be pasul. So Elmaleh, sort of Yosef comes and he tells sort of Papa, my dad, well, what do you hold then? Elmaleh says, ben more, whether according to Rabbi or Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, klalu frat tedarshe. We're going to make a klalu frat to do with the menorah, and this is what I read to you in the summary. Right? More savar, right? He says, miu more savar, ma prat mefurash shel matechet. I've called it shel matechet. Since the prat, which is something of it's a metal, meaning gold is still a metal. So too has to be made out of metal. More savar, ma prat mefurash davar chashuv has to be something chashuv. So too has to be something chashuv. So Elmaleh, he says, samedidach mi kamedidi. You have to take off your brighta instead of mine. The Tanya kli sharesh asan shel etz Rabbi posel Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda machshir. What is a machloket? So now here we're talking about kli sharet. So a person comes and he takes a kli sharet and he made it out of wood. Rabbi says it's pasul. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda says it's going to be kosher. What is the machloket between them? Rabbi was doresh klal ufrat. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda was doresh ribu yomiyute. So Rabbi, he says darish klal ufrat. It says v'asita menorat. That's a klal. You have to make a menorah. The menorah is a general. Zahav tahor, I give you a specific. It has to be made out of pure gold. Mikshat te'aseh menorah, right? Again, it's a klal, right? So klal ufrat klal, right? Klal ufrat klal perat, just like the prat is mefurash any type of metal, so too it's going to be any type of metal. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, no, it's ribuy miute. Why? The asita menorah is a ribui. It's a general, right? It's an inclusion. Zahav tahor is a mute. Mikshat te'aseh menorah is again a ribui. Right? Riba miyat riba kol. So it's coming to add everything. Umay rabbe. So what's it coming to include? Rabbe kol mile. It's coming to include any type, even etz, matechet, anything that you want. My miyet shel cheres. The only thing that is coming to exclude is earthenware. Okay? That's the only thing. So says the Gemara, Adra, but the opposite. Samedi dachmi kamedidi. I should take off yours instead of mine. So says the Gemara, lo salka daitach. We're not going to have such a thing. He says, why? He says, the Tanya we learned to the right, en lo zahav meviaf shel kesef. If he doesn't have gold, make it out of silver. Right? Or nechoshet, or copper, or bazel, or lead, or bedil, or tin, or sheloferet, or of lead. Sorry, the bedil was the tin. And this was lead. Rabbi Yosef would be damach shiraf b'shel etz. V'tanya yidach. Another one says, lo sedam tavnit echal. Never make a tavnit of the Bet HaMikdash, right? Or nachsadra keneged ha'ulam. Okay, v'chatzer keneged ha'azara, or a chatzer keneged ha'azara, v'shulchan keneged ha'shulchan, or a shulchan like the shulchan of the Bet HaMikdash, or menorah keneged menorah, aval oseh shel chamisha v'shel shishya v'shel shmona. Meaning, if you wanted to make a replica of the menorah, you're allowed to. You know how? 5 branches, 8 branches, or sorry, 5, 6, or 8. Basically, you can't make 7, right? You can't make 7.
If it's
Okay.
not from the goal.
If it's not, well, no, at all, you cannot make it. Okay. Which one?
We're not allowed to make a.
You're not allowed to. Do you know in Gibraltar there was a Bet Knesset that they had 7? They had 3 and 1 in the middle. And I don't remember which rabbi, one of the rabbanim that came in, he went and he said, "What are you guys doing up there?" Boom, they had to cut one off because they had a menorah, like a tzurat menorah, and it wasn't even gold one. It was on top of the Hechal, like like one of these menorahs or whatever it is. But they had 7 branches, so they had to take off one.
You want to do a copy and you think, allowed to do it, but not at the same size of the original.
Ah.
And you sign, you have to answer that from the Renoir, I don't know which paint, but the size must be different.
Oh, very
the
nice.
same size, it looks like you want to
Exactly, that you're doing a complete copy. Okay. V'shel shiva lo yaseh. Also, you can't do of 7. V'afilu mishamim nemitachot, even from other metals. So you see, you heard? Even from other metals, you're not allowed to do 7. So the 7 branches, no, I'm doing it out of copper.
The one which is
So he says, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, af shel etz lo yaseh. You can't even make out of wood. Kadesh shasu melchei bet Chashmonai. Samrulo, they said, misham raya. From there, there's a proof. Shipudim shel barzel ayu. It was made out of barzel. V'chipum beba'atz, and then they came and they covered it with tin. Heshiru, and they became richer. They put it with silver. Chazu v'yishiru, and then they made it out of gold. So you see that they did do it. So Amar Shmuel Mishmei Saba, Govha Shemunra was 18 tfachim, 18 tfachim. Haraglaim v'perach is 3 tfachim. So the legs of the menorah and the perach is going to be 3 tfachim. Tfachaim chalak, then it's going to be 2 empty. V'tefach shebo gavia, then you have a gavia v'kaftor u'perach. Utfachaim chalak, then you have another 2 empty. V'tefach kaftor, then you have a tefach and then you have a kaftor, and 2 kanim coming out. Right? Echavelach ve'echavelach, each from coming out. Then nimshachim v'olim kerego govan shel menorah. Right? וטבח חלק, וטבח כפתור הוא 2 קנים יוצאים מצידה, right? אחד מכאן ואחד מכאן, ונמשכים ועולים כנגד גובהה של מנורה, וטפח חלק וטבח כפתור הוא 2 קנים יוצאים ממנו אלך ואילך, ונמשכים ועולים כנגד גובהה של מנורה, וטפחיים, right? חלק, נשתערו שם 3 טפחים, שבין 3 גביעים וכפתור ופרח. So basically the way that it sounds here, by the way, was the way that we have it in the picture, which is I think the way that the Rambam learns, correct? Yeah. Everyone sees? Look in the original picture on the Mishnah. You had the bottom part was going to be 3 tfachim, and then you have the perach, right? Then you're going to come and you're going to have another, I think it was 2 tfachim, and then you're going to have kaftor v'ferach and everything, like everything there. Then you have another 2 tfachim, and then you start coming and you have the branches sticking out. And then again 1 tefach, branches sticking out. Another 1 tefach, branches sticking out, and then another one. Then you have the final. Right? Okay, you have it there.
The rabbi asked, by the way, it's 7 branches.
Okay, it is. Yeah.
So I asked ChatGPT, why is that?
And
he said,
Ugvi'in lemayin domin. So what are the gvi'in compared to? Kemin kosot Alexandrim, like the cups of Alexandria. The kaftorim, what are they compared to? Tapuche kartim. They're like a tapuchim. The prachim, what are they doing? Kemin pirchei amudin, like pirchei amudin. V'nimsu gvi'im esim shnayim. So it comes out that there's going to be 22 gvi'im. Kaftorim achadasad, 11 knobs, and prachim teisha, 9 flowers. Yeah, that's the amount. So you've got, one more time, 22 givi'ins, like the cups, the knobs 11, and the prachim is going to be 9. Everything is me'akev each other. Bishlam givim musim shnai miners and 22, because it says uva menorah there's going to be arba givim. Uchtivin it's written shlosha givim mishukadim mekanei echad kavdor v'farach v'arba gedida. So then you're going to have another 4. So he says v'tam nesrei. V'tam nesrei. Look at the picture on the bottom there. You have all the different things over there. Okay, v'tam nesrei the kanim, and then you have the 18 of the kanim. Then you're going to have 22. Kaftorin also, achadasa kaftorin, you have 11. Trade day 2 of itself. V'shisha the kanim, and the 6 of the kanim. Right, v'kaftor, 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 achadasa, then it becomes 11. Ela prachim tishamina, how do you know about the prachim? So the prachim, he says, it's trade day, it's going to have 2 from itself. V'sheshet kanim, and then you're going to have the 6 kanim. So Amar Shesha ktiv adirechah pircha miksha hi. So when it says a pircha miksha, so therefore it's going to be without the kanem tzai, without the menureh, right? Is already going to be 9, and that's what it says here. Amarav govash menureh is going to be 9 tfachim, and then we continue with Zat Hashem tomorrow.
You get to